to wage the war to divert the attention, the mood towards the war, then rather than the economy.
Yeah, that's the other issue is if your economy is in trouble, you really can't afford to go to war. But you sort of can. You can if you don't care about the people. Right? If you took all your resources and put them into the war, of course you can go to war, but then your people are going to suffer. But maybe China's willing to do that. Maybe Xi Jinping is willing to do that. Maybe he will frame it in such a way that he will blame America. And if you can get everyone to agree that it's because of the enemy that you're hungry, and it's because of the enemy that your high-speed rail has been melted down and turned into weapons or something like this, it's because of the enemy that your only son was sent off to a war, then they might be able to do it. I mean, they are masters of propaganda and they're able to convince the people. But that's another thing that I wrote about too, is that when you only have one son, how likely are you to just allow your son to go to war and die? You know,
But how much power does the people have to say no to
that's it.
CCP?
That's it. There's a lot of, I won't say a lot, there are certain experts out there who say things like, well, eventually the people will get angry and they'll stand up to the I just don't see it. And from living inside of China, I just don't, because there is no other party. There is no opposition party of any kind. There is no organized opposition. So I don't know who it is that would lead this. The closest thing that could ever happen would be inside of the Communist Party, inside of the CCP, that somebody else sort of leads a coup against Xi Jinping. It probably wouldn't be a real coup. It would be sort of bring him up on charges, have him arrested, have his aides arrested, something like this. But you would then wind up with, we have this expression, same dog with different fleas. You would just have really the same problems, but just with a different leader. I just don't see the regime ending, which is so sad. I mean, I want it to end, but I just don't see how it's going to end.
In that case, what do you think the next leader of Taiwan should be prepared to do?
When I lived in Taiwan 20 years ago, there was almost a three-way split between Taiwanese people that you would know better than me, but it seemed like a three-way split. Like, we want to be independent, we want to stay as we are, we could be the next Hong Kong, be part of China, but they would be a SAR, a separately administered region. After the national security law was passed in Hong Kong, I think fewer Chinese people believe, fewer Taiwanese people believe that being part of China would be a good idea. I would have to believe that the opinion probably changed very much at that point. Oh, we don't want to be the next Hong Kong. The first time they ever said we don't want to be the next Hong Kong. So yeah, so the next leader, I think that Tsai Ing-wen has been so great, and she essentially said publicly that Taiwan is independent of China. I mean, she said that, or essentially said that a number of times, and it was very bold, and I would hope that the new leader will continue with that, but I don't know. The Kuomintang won some local elections recently, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, and that can always say the Kuomintang, or let's say the really old guard that maybe believes that Taipei should rule mainland China. That's kind of a wild card. Yeah.
But let me get back to at the very beginning. You talk about the creative mind, creative thinking of the MMA world, right? So you didn't finish answering that about how the CCP is limiting China's
creativity.
Yeah.
Number one, by limiting access to information, you're automatically limiting creativity. Number two, because you're not allowed to discuss sensitive subjects, you're limiting creativity. If you look at Chinese TV, you go to China, you turn on the TV. There are a ton of singing shows, singing competition shows. And the reason why, that's one of the only things that can get past the censors. There's nothing controversial, singing, and it's just ridiculous. And then you have the shows about how China defeated Japan in World War II single-handedly. There's a lot of those shows. Okay, let's say you want to make a police show in China. You want to make a police show. Now we got a problem. What are the themes of police shows? Well, one is the police fight the bad guys. That should get past the censors. Well, no, because then you're admitting that there are bad guys in China. Okay, what other kind of police shows? I know, there's a corrupt policeman and a good policeman rats out the corrupt police. You can't do that. Then you're admitting that there's corrupt policemen. So how do we have a police show? You want to have a family drama. Let's make a family drama. What is a family drama? Well, the brother and sister, and sometimes they're fighting, and the parent. Oh, no, you can't have a show with a brother and sister. Do you remember Jia Younuer? They used to have this sitcom in China called forgot what it's called in English. It was Jiao Nuer. And it's this family, and they have 3 kids. And almost every episode, they had to say, you know why we have 3 kids? She was married before, and I was married before, and then we married. So that's why we have 3 kids. Because they had to justify legally why they have 3 kids. And you can't make a family drama with 1 kid. And I remember one of the first drama series I watched in mainland China was about 4 first cousins that were best friends. And even that you can't do anymore because nobody has first cousins anymore. So where is your creativity? If we look at art, it doesn't matter, painting, singing, dancing, theater, literature, poetry, what does it do? It criticizes the government, it criticizes society. It creates other ways of viewing things, of seeing things. Well, you're not allowed to do that in China. So what is art in China? Well, you study the old Chinese calligraphy or the old Chinese painting and you reproduce it. So you don't have this creativity. Debate, right? In America, when I was growing up, there's a lot of cultural research where they said there's a disproportionate number of Italian and Jewish lawyers in America, from Jewish families and Italian families, lawyers. Why? Because we have very large families and we sit at the table, everyone eats together, including the children, and we debate and we argue and we fight every day. And you become very good at it. You become a lawyer, you become a stockbroker, you become something where you have to use this type of creative debate. Well, if you grow up in a culture where you're not allowed to question anything, do you know how to debate? Can you handle a debate? And what is an innovation? What is a scientific innovation or a business innovation? It is a debate that you had in your own head. There's a problem. How can we solve the problem? We could solve it this way. We could solve it that way. Oh, I found the best way to solve the problem because I worked through all the other ways of solving it.
Even if in fighting, I mean,
What's that?
even in fighting, that's the case.
Yeah, in a fighting.
I just have to build my body to be stronger and faster, and I can beat my opponent.
Yeah, well, you were asking me. I think it was off camera, so the folks at home don't know. We were talking about MMA, and I was saying why Chinese martial arts don't translate to MMA so well, and it's one of the reasons. It's just you need this incredible flexibility of mind, this incredible creativity. So I think this discussion was we were talking off camera a minute ago, but we were talking about the flexibility of MMA and why Chinese traditional martial arts don't translate to MMA. And the reason why, I believe, is because it's a very rigid way of thinking and you have to be very flexible. When I'm fighting in Mongolia or I'm wrestling in Mongolia, I'm the smallest guy. I'm old, I'm in my 50s, and the guy outweighs me by 80 pounds, sometimes 40 kilograms, 30 kilograms, and so I have to be clever. I have to think of some other way. And I think that the Chinese CCP culture did not teach people to have this type of flexibility. The other thing about MMA is that when you're an athlete in China, you join a sports university. Well, you join a sports high school first, or sports elementary school. You're selected, maybe. You're selected for that school, or your parents send you to that school, and every minute of every day is planned. Your training is planned. Your eating, your sleeping is planned for you. Your competitions are planned for you. And if you're good, you continue at a sports university or the Olympic team, but everything is done for you. When you're an American and you're growing up and you want to play those kind of sports, you have to plan your own training. You have to plan your own eating, your own sleeping. You have to find the competitions. You have to fund them yourself, find the money to go to the MMA competition or something like this. So it's a very different kind of thinking. And the other benefit is our sports system here is that we have high school sports. So I attended a regular public high school and went to normal classes every day until 2:30 or whatever time high school finishes. And then we had 2 hours of sports training. And then on my own, I found the martial arts school and I went to the training. And on my own, I found the competitions. And so when I graduated high school, I knew how to go out and find the competitions, the training, whatever. So my Chinese classmates had none of this. They had no experience. Like their whole life, somebody had planned everything. They didn't even have their passports. The coach held the passports for the whole team, and they had to fill out a permission to leave the country. Even though theoretically Chinese people are allowed to leave China tomorrow, they still needed to explain why they're leaving the country. We're going to a competition. Here's the documents from the competition. The coach, is going with us. They signed off on it. Yes, we'll come back. And how do you go from that to going around the world and finding the best coach and paying him and finding the competition? So this is really inhibiting the Chinese athletes.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. Well, I guess this is almost it. Thank you for your sharing of thoughts together with us today. Yeah.
Thank you so much. You asked me wonderful questions, and these are things I feel very passionate about. I'm very happy to get to talk about. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.